also watched a show finished on Disney Plus. The Mandalorian just aired their finale, I think, a week ago. Not this past Friday, but last Friday. And wow, heavily impressed with this show. And if you have been watching my episodes and you watched my first episode, the shitty audio quality, episode 1 and 2, but in the first one, I talked Star Wars, and I saw Rise of Skywalker, wasn't happy, been pretty disappointed for Star Wars since The Last Jedi. Have not liked anything that's come out until this. This is really great. The Mandalorian is incredibly different to anything we've ever seen from Star Wars, coming from the way it's shot, the world building, the tone of it's like it's pretty much a Western. It's a Star Wars Western, which we've never really seen before. The music is incredibly different. Just everything about it is so different. I think that's what the Star Wars universe really needs right now. Coming off the episodes and the really rough reception, and again, say what you will about the episodes, but the new Disney episode, Skywalker trilogy, that people, they're mixed opinions. There's no unanimous like, oh, they're really great. People aren't fans. So having something come in and be incredibly different is, I believe, really important for the Star Wars universe right now, to really get Disney back on their feet, get Star Wars back in the good graces of the fandom for now. And I definitely think The Mandalorian is a great start. The synopsis of the show is there's a bounty hunter who has Mandalorian armor, takes a bounty from the Empire. If you aren't familiar with The Mandalorian, this takes place after Episode 6, right? After Return of the Jedi. So the Empire has fallen, and so whatever is left of the Empire, they're kind of on the run. They're kind of, stowed away, kind of like how the Nazis operated after World War II. I mean, obviously they didn't all surrender and they didn't all die off. Like, they were still around, but they weren't as prevalent as, they once were. So that's kind of what they're doing with the Empire. And this Imperial dude, gives the Mandalorian a bounty, and he takes it, finds the bounty that he's looking for. I'm just going to spoil it now because, I'm sure all of you know. It's Baby Yoda. It's Baby Yoda. You've seen the memes. It's the cutest thing ever. It's Baby Yoda. So, how the fuck can you kill that? Like, you can't. You can't bring that into the Empire. So, and he doesn't. Because the Mandalorian, finds his heart of gold that he's always had, Now, the story itself is not too original. We've seen this before. Firefly is the main example that comes to mind. Captain Malcolm Reynolds and the Mandalorian are very similar. They are good guys at heart, but are perceived as have this kind of intense scoundrel exterior type of personality. But when they're faced with a situation of protecting someone in who they believe that is important, they do it. And that's the show, pretty much. Again, Firefly sucks that it was canceled. I'm still pissed about it. I'm getting pissed off right now thinking about it being canceled. But anyway, Mandalorian. Again, it's not a bad formula to follow. I will say, at first, in the first couple episodes in The Mandalorian, I was really liking it. I was liking it, but I wasn't in love with it. And I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I'm a massive Star Wars fan. If you look behind me, there's a fucking cardboard cutout of Darth Vader. I'm a pretty big fucking Star Wars fan. And I wasn't in love with The Mandalorian at first. Wasn't in love. And I don't know what it was, but just going to the end and going to the last 2 episodes specifically, that was kind of when I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm in love with this show now. I just think you just need interesting characters to surround the Mandalorian. Because I love Pedro Pascal, who plays the Mandalorian. If you're not familiar with who he is, if you've seen Game of Thrones, he played Prince Oberyn. Yeah, that dude who gets his face smashed in by the mountain. That guy. But he's awesome. He's perfect as the Mandalorian. It's hard to perceive your emotions when your face is hidden throughout the entire show. I mean, praise just has to go out to the actor himself, Pedro Pascal, and the directors for being able to have the audience perceive his emotions correctly. And you do. It's awesome. So that's really great. But I think you can only have the one character who doesn't show his face for so long until it starts getting to be like, okay, I'm starting to kind of get a little bit detached from the character because I don't see your face and you're not really emoting or anything. So you need interesting characters to play off of the Mandalorian, and that's where he's at his best. So that's where, Gina Carano comes in as Cara Dune, that past Rebel shock trooper. She was awesome. She was badass. I like Gina Carano. I think she was a past MMA fighter, so obviously she can kick ass. You have Carl Weathers is in the show as Grief Karga, the guy who runs the sort of the bounty hunter clan on his planet, where he would give the Mandalorian his bounties. But he was great. Loved him. Loved seeing him. Nick Nolte voices a character, and his character was great. IG-11 was sick, voiced by Taika Waititi, who directed the last episode, which makes sense why I love it so much, because Taika Waititi is a phenomenal director. He directed Thor Ragnarok, if you aren't familiar with him. But yeah, just going forward, I mean, the ending of the show was great. I mean, it reveals something from the villain, who is played by Gus Fring himself from Breaking Bad, Giancarlo Esposito, as Moff Gideon, who is I'm thinking going to be an awesome villain. He's going to be an awesome villain. Something's revealed with him that is a callback to the Clone Wars, and if you've ever seen the Clone Wars, it gets you incredibly pumped up for the future of the Mandalorian. So you have him stick around. You definitely need him, because that Moff Gideon was awesome. I loved that. I was just like, yes, absolutely. Let's keep doing this with this villain. You need a great antagonist for this show. Maybe that was something that was lost in the first couple episodes that I wasn't really getting into at first. Maybe that's the reason why. And Moff Gideon doesn't show up until the last 2 episodes. But yeah, keep surrounding the Mandalorian with interesting characters. Those witty type of, sarcastic characters that play off of the Mandalorian's quiet demeanor. It gets to be pretty awesome, for sure, absolutely. But yeah, the Mandalorian, great. Let's talk about the effects for lastly. I mean, come on, you can't not talk about them. The show looks amazing. The effects are phenomenal. I mean, they should be, though. I mean, I'm pretty sure this show is one of them, if not the most expensive show ever made. I mean, I looked it up. On average, each episode cost around $15 million, which in comparison, Game of Thrones, their average episode cost about $6 million an episode, which is considered very expensive for a television show. I mean, obviously, you have your outliers who probably increase that a little bit, like your Battle of the Bastards, Battle of Winterfell episodes that cost ridiculous amounts of money because of all the CGI and all the extras and all the effects. But, I mean, The Mandalorian on average is $9 more million. It more than doubles the episodic budget of Game of Thrones, which is insane. Because each episode of The Mandalorian is shorter than an hour. It's around 40 minutes. So these effects are amazing. I mean, I remember watching interviews with Jon Favreau, the creator of the show, when he was talking about how he was going to do the effects and kind of go back to, constructing miniatures and filming those, how George Lucas did it with his original trilogy. and I loved that. And you can definitely tell it looks phenomenal. Like everything about it, it looks phenomenal. It looks film quality. It doesn't look like a TV show. It looks like a film every episode. So yeah, watch it if you're a Star Wars fan. You've seen The Mandalorian. I mean, if you're not a Star Wars fan, or if you've been kind of like, I'm not really into Star Wars anymore, watch The Mandalorian. It might turn you around. I don't think you're gonna be completely sold on Star Wars again. I think The Mandalorian is just a really great step in the right direction for Disney with the Star Wars universe, and they just need to keep doing that. Which I believe they're going to. I think they've learned from The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker and that whole trilogy, having a vision of where the story is going to be going in the future is clearly not the way to do it. And you can definitely tell The Mandalorian is not that. They know where they're going to be going with this show. So they're already filming season 2 right now, so it's gonna keep going, and I'm definitely gonna be there, and I'm definitely gonna be talking about it on this podcast when it comes out. So yeah, Mandalorian, watch it. Definitely watch it. I mean, if you're definitive always not been a Star Wars fan, you can skip it. I mean, if you're not a Star Wars fan, I'm not gonna entice you to watch it, but who knows? Give it a shot. You never know, you might like it a lot. So